This is the dumbest league run by absolute morons. I've been saying it forever.
Cathy Engelbert needs to resign.
What started as a quiet off-season conversation has exploded into a full-blown scandal that might cost Commissioner Cathy Engelbert her job. Fans are furious, players are speaking out, and Caitlin Clark, the face of women's basketball, has officially broken her silence. And when she did, it wasn't loud, it wasn't angry, it was devastating. Everything began just a few days ago when Napheesa Collier decided she'd had enough of pretending everything was fine. In her exit interview, Collier dropped what can only be described as a bomb on the entire league. She revealed a private conversation she'd had with Commissioner Engelbert, and what she claimed the commissioner said made jaws drop nationwide. According to Collier, Engelbert told her that Caitlin Clark should be grateful for everything the WNBA had given her. Caitlin should be grateful she makes $16 million off the court, because without the platform the WNBA gives her, she wouldn't make anything. You could practically hear the outrage before the clip even finished. But Engelbert didn't stop there. Collier went on to say that the commissioner told her other players should be on their knees thanking their lucky stars for the deals she'd negotiated. Players who grind every night, who put their bodies on the line, being told they should kneel in gratitude? That's not leadership. That's ego on full display. And remember, this isn't coming from a rookie looking for attention. This is Napheesa Collier, one of the most respected voices in the WNBA. She's not known for drama, she's known for composure. So if she's calling out the commissioner publicly, you know things are serious. The moment those quotes hit social media, the internet erupted. Fans went ballistic. Coaches, analysts, even former players started chiming in. One fan wrote, "They made more money in college than some entire WNBA teams who should really be grateful here." It got so wild that even the WNBA itself had to issue a statement, a rare move. Their statement praised Collier, calling her an outstanding leader whose words reflect the experiences of many. Translation: the league basically confirmed Collier wasn't alone. Other players felt the same way, but instead of calming things down, Engelbert's response poured gasoline on the fire. She released a carefully worded statement saying she was disheartened by how her conversation was portrayed and that she had the utmost respect for all WNBA players. Sounds polite, right? But fans saw through it instantly. There was no denial, no apology, and definitely no accountability, just cold PR language. And that's what sent everyone over the edge. Because the moment Engelbert acknowledged the conversation, even indirectly, it basically confirmed that Collier's story was true. The outrage doubled overnight. Comment sections flooded with demands for Engelbert to resign. Sports personalities started weighing in, and it got ugly fast. Stephen A. Smith blasted her on live TV saying, "This is the dumbest league run by absolute morons. You don't act like that." Dave Portnoy called for her resignation outright. Christine Brennan, a veteran journalist, said the leadership in the WNBA is tone-deaf beyond belief. The pressure was rising by the hour. But through all of it, through the chaos, the headlines, and the non-stop debate, one voice remained completely silent. Caitlin Clark's, and that silence, it was deafening. Fans waited. The media waited. Everyone wanted to know what Caitlin would say. Would she defend the commissioner? Would she stay neutral? Then came the Fever's exit interview, her first public appearance since being sidelined with injury. When she sat down, the entire league held its breath. She started by clearing the air on her injury, explaining that it was her ankle that kept her out, that she'd been working hard to get back, and she was finally starting to feel like herself again. It was calm, measured, and genuine, the Caitlin Clark everyone loves. Then a reporter brought up the one question everyone was waiting for. What did she think about what Napheesa had said, and about what the commissioner allegedly said about her? Caitlin smiled faintly. Then, without hesitation, she said, "I have great respect for Fee, and I think she made a lot of very valid points. What people need to understand is that we need great leadership across all levels. This is the most important moment in this league's history." Boom. No yelling, no insults, just pure class. And yet that single sentence carried more weight than any angry rant ever could. Fans instantly knew what she was doing. She wasn't attacking Engelbert directly. She didn't have to. She was calling for accountability without saying the word resign. It was subtle, it was strategic, and it was devastating. But the interview didn't stop there. The very next question came from another reporter, asking whether Caitlin's fame and her millions in endorsement deals were because of the WNBA. That's the exact narrative Engelbert had pushed privately, that Clark owed her success to the league. Caitlin's answer? calm, confident, and completely factual. She reminded everyone that her brand exploded before she even entered the WNBA during her college years at Iowa. She talked about her first NIL deal with Hy-Vee, her partnerships with Nike, and how women's sports are evolving because players now build their own brands long before they turn pro. Then she said the line that silenced the entire room. Young women are coming into this league now already building their brands in college. That's the way the game has changed and will continue to change. Translation: I'm not here because of the WNBA. The WNBA is thriving because of players like me. In short, Caitlin Clark isn't lucky to be in the WNBA. The WNBA is lucky to have Caitlin Clark. That truth spread like wildfire. Social media lit up with side-by-side comparisons of attendance charts, ratings, and even merchandise sales from the months she played versus when she was injured. The numbers were so obvious that it stopped being an argument. It became a fact. Everywhere you looked, fans, journalists, and even rival players admitted what the commissioner refused to say. Caitlin Clark is the engine of the league right now. But instead of embracing that and using it to grow the sport, Cathy Engelbert's comments showed resentment. It's as if she couldn't stand that a single player had become more influential than her entire administration. And that's when the story shifted from a league scandal to something much bigger. A leadership crisis that every sports fan could recognize. People began pulling clips, interviews, and moments from the past 2 years, realizing this wasn't the first time Engelbert's tone seemed dismissive toward players. She often spoke about the business and the growth trajectory, but rarely mentioned the human side, the athletes actually doing the work. When the commissioner of a professional league acts like the players are replaceable, you know there's trouble brewing. Fans started drawing comparisons between the WNBA and the NBA during its turning points. In the 1980s, it took star players like Magic Johnson and Larry Bird to save the NBA from irrelevance. They were celebrated, not scolded. David Stern saw their value and used their popularity to grow the league. That's what good leadership looks like: vision, humility, and partnership. Engelbert's approach, on the other hand, feels like the opposite. Instead of lifting up her stars, she seems to view them as threats to her control. And that mindset is poison for a sport on the rise. Then came the most telling moment of all. A reporter asked Caitlin if Engelbert had reached out to her after the controversy exploded just to talk, clear things up, or even apologize. Caitlin gave a soft smile and answered one word: no. That single syllable told the entire story. No phone call, no message, no acknowledgement. The commissioner hadn't even taken a moment to speak directly to the player at the center of it all. It was cold, careless, and revealing. That's when the tone online changed from outrage to disgust. People who had once defended Engelbert's business-first attitude started calling it arrogance. "How can you lead people you refuse to talk to?" one fan wrote. Another comment that went viral simply said, "The commissioner acts like she owns the league." She doesn't. The players do. And maybe that's the real reason this story hit so hard. It wasn't just about Caitlin or Napheesa. It was about power. The players are finally realizing that they are the product. They're the ones selling tickets, driving ratings, and building communities. Without them, there's no league. And if the leadership can't respect that, then it doesn't deserve to keep leading. It also didn't help that fans quickly remembered how Engelbert treated Caitlin during her Rookie of the Year moment. Everyone remembers the contrast. Paige Bucher's got a full-stage ceremony, trophy presentation, smiles, and cameras. Caitlin, a phone call, a quick congrats, and that was it. Fans thought it was odd back then, but now it looked like proof that the commissioner's attitude toward her had been cold all along. Clips from that day resurfaced, racking up millions of views. Comments poured in. You could feel the disrespect. She didn't even show up for her own league's biggest star. And how do you treat your future like that? Every piece of evidence started forming a bigger picture. Engelbert wasn't just guilty of one bad comment. She'd built a culture of distance, detachment, and ego. Even analysts who usually steer clear of controversy began to speak out. Christine Brennan, who's covered sports for decades, said during an interview that the WNBA's success depends on understanding its moment in history. Caitlin Clark is the economic rocket ship of this league, she said. Without her, ratings are down, tickets are down, attention is down. It's undeniable. That statement was shared across every platform, and fans started repeating it like a slogan. Meanwhile, Stephen A. Smith doubled down on his criticism. On his show, he shouted, "You don't disrespect the person bringing millions of eyes to your sport. This is madness." His words echoed what fans were already thinking. The The commissioner didn't just make a mistake, she insulted the foundation of her own league. Soon, players from other teams began liking posts calling for change. That might not seem like much, but in the world of professional sports, silence speaks volumes. Players rarely engage publicly against leadership, but this time, they couldn't resist. The mood had shifted. The commissioner had lost the locker room, and the fans, they were already way ahead. Fire Engelbert began trending across multiple platforms. Memes popped up showing Caitlin lifting the WNBA, while Engelbert tried to pull her back down. Some fans started hashtags like Justice for Clark and Listen to Fee. The movement wasn't just about drama anymore. It had turned into a call for reform. What made it even worse for the commissioner was the way Caitlin handled herself. While everyone else shouted, she stayed calm. She never resorted to insults or anger. She let her grace do the talking. That contrast, Caitlin's quiet dignity versus Engelbert's prideful tone, only made the leadership look smaller. People respect humility, they respect honesty, and that's exactly what Caitlin gave them. Her poise reminded many of how great athletes handle pressure. When Michael Jordan was attacked by critics, he didn't whine, he performed. When Serena Williams faced bias, she stood tall and kept winning. Caitlin belongs in that same lineage. Her words might have been soft, but they carried the weight of truth, and that truth hurt the commissioner more than any insult could have. Then came another layer that no one saw coming. Reporters dug deeper into how the WNBA manages its image. Multiple journalists started pointing out how the league's PR team often downplays individual stardom, focusing instead on the collective brand. It's a strategy meant to balance exposure, but it ends up hurting growth, because when you refuse to highlight your stars, you stunt your own momentum. The NBA learned that decades ago. Fans don't fall in love with logos, they fall in love with players. Caitlin Clark is that player. So now you have a commissioner who won't celebrate her stars, a player base that feels unheard, and a fan base that's losing patience. It's a recipe for collapse if something doesn't change soon. And that's exactly why Caitlin's comments hit the way they did. They weren't just words, they were a mirror. She forced the league to see itself. When Caitlin said we need great leadership across all levels, it wasn't just a polite observation. It was a challenge. It was her saying, "You've had your chance. Either step up or step aside." She didn't need to demand Engelbert's resignation. The audience did it for her. That's how powerful her influence has become. In the days that followed, major sports outlets ran headlines like WNBA faces internal crisis and Commissioner under fire as players revolt. Suddenly, what began as a small leak from one player turned into a national conversation about leadership, respect, and the future of women's sports. Some insiders even claimed that private talks were already happening behind the scenes about whether Engelbert could survive this. But the story doesn't end there. The real transformation came from the unity this controversy sparked. For the first time, fans of rival teams started standing together. Fever fans, Aces fans, Lynx fans. People who usually go at each other in comment sections were now united in one voice: protect the players, fix the leadership. It's rare to see that kind of solidarity, and it says everything about how fed up people are. The most surprising part is how even the corporate world began to notice. Sponsors that had jumped on board during Caitlin's rookie season reportedly reached out to the league privately, asking for clarity about the controversy. That's corporate language for "we're watching." When money starts to question leadership, you know a storm is brewing. The WNBA might pride itself on progress, but right now it's teetering on the edge of regression because of poor management. And here's the irony. Engelbert's original comment about gratitude, it was supposed to make her sound powerful. Instead, it exposed how insecure her leadership really is. Strong leaders don't demand gratitude, they inspire it. True influence doesn't come from titles, it comes from respect. And right now, respect for the commissioner is in short supply. Caitlin, on the other hand, earned hers effortlessly. Her silence wasn't weakness, it was wisdom. Her words weren't flashy, but they were real. And real always wins in the long run. The more fans rewatched that interview, the more they noticed how thoughtful she was. She didn't take the bait. She didn't make it personal. She focused on the bigger picture, the growth of the game, the need for leadership, the importance of building something lasting. That's what great leaders do. And that's why people see her as more than just a basketball player now. She's becoming a voice for change. When Napheesa Collier first spoke out, she took a risk. Players who challenge authority rarely come out unscathed, but Caitlin's support validated her. It told the entire league that honesty wasn't rebellion, It was responsibility. Together, they've done something the league's PR team could never pull off. They've made the WNBA feel human, and maybe that's what scares Engelbert the most. You can control messaging, you can control press releases, but you can't control authenticity. You can't silence the truth once it resonates with millions of people. Now the spotlight is squarely on the league office. Every move Engelbert makes will be scrutinized. Every statement will be dissected. She's no longer seen as a visionary, she's seen as a liability. And unless she owns up to her mistakes, the calls for her resignation will only grow louder. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark just keeps winning without even stepping on the court. Her influence grows, her fan base expands, and her message of accountability becomes the new standard. The WNBA may be her league, but she's proving she doesn't need permission to lead. At the end of the day, that's what this whole saga represents: a battle for the future of women's basketball. It's not about who's right or wrong in a single conversation. It's about whether this league will finally respect its stars enough to treat them as partners, not products. The next few months will be crucial. If Engelbert doesn't step down, she'll have to rebuild trust from the ground up. But can she? The answer seems obvious. Once the players and fans stop believing in you, leadership becomes impossible. And if she does step aside, this could be the turning point that propels the WNBA into its true golden age, led by the very women who made it matter. As for Caitlin Clark, she's already shown the kind of leadership the league desperately needs: humble, smart, unshakable. She didn't have to scream to be heard. She just told the truth and the world listened. Maybe that's the real lesson here. In a world full of noise, quiet strength always stands out. Caitlin Clark didn't destroy the commissioner with anger. She did it with grace. And that's the kind of power no one can take away. Now the question is, what comes next? Will the league learn from this moment or repeat its mistakes? Because right now, it's standing at a crossroads. On one side is ego and control. On the other is progress and respect. And if the WNBA is smart, it'll follow Caitlin's lead. Because make no mistake, she's already leading, whether the commissioner likes it or not.